part of being friends is to be honest and to let you know what I think. And speaking honestly, the outcome of that decision is a matter of deep interest to the United States because it affects our prospects as well. The United States wants a strong United Kingdom as a partner. And the United Kingdom is at its best when it's helping to lead a strong Europe.
President Obama elicited strong feelings from our British cousins last week as our commander-in-chief once again became the lecturer-in-chief, but this time he was lecturing the people of the United Kingdom. It began with an op-ed last Thursday in the Daily Telegraph as the president told the British people they would be better off staying in the European Union. It continued during this joint press conference with Prime Minister David Cameron. Now, you'll want to listen carefully to the way in which President Obama at first issues a disclaimer in response to a reporter's question, but concludes with what the British are now calling a threat.
Do you still think it was the right decision to intervene in this debate? And can I ask you this, crucially, what happens if the UK does decide in June to leave the European Union?
Well, first of all, let me repeat. This is a decision for the people of the United Kingdom to make. Maybe some point down the line there might be a UK-US trade agreement, but it's not going to happen anytime soon because our focus is in negotiating with a big bloc, the European Union, to get a trade agreement done. And UK is going to be in the back of the queue.
Winston Churchill once joked that the British and the Americans are two great peoples separated by a common language. So I guess you can give President Obama some credit for using British English, but it's not what he said, it's not how he said it, it's what he said. When he stated the UK would be in the back of the queue, that means in American English, the back of the line, and it's very clear. The president is pressuring the UK to stay in the EU, telling the British people if they vote to leave, there will be consequences in terms of British-American trade. Remember, we heard the president say it was up to the British people to decide, then he in turn decides to threaten them if they don't vote the way he wants. When Mr. Obama was elected president, I warned that the corrupt campaign practices of Chicago Cook County would spread coast to coast because they would now emanate from the White House. Sadly, our president has now taken the Chicago way beyond our shores. His behavior in Great Britain was beyond bad. It was insulting to one of our greatest allies. Then again, this president has had his priorities out of whack since he first took office, giving maximum latitude to our enemies like Iraq while intervening in the decisions of our allies like Israel and the UK. In fact, it might be said Mr. Obama puts the dip in diplomacy. At least that's the way I see it. Now, for the way you see it, your comments via social media. We hear first tonight from Mona writing in about the comments Donald Trump made on transgender restrooms. She thinks the free market should decide. She writes, Trump said that the state should decide whether women should use or whether men should use women's bathrooms and vice versa. I agree with him. Businesses should put up a sign saying whether they'll allow this. If sales start dropping, they'll change their minds. Gary writes in on the same topic, disappointed with Donald Trump's stance. He writes, Trump just lost my support. I vehemently disagree about sharing restrooms, period. As a Christian, I love all people, but that does not mean I must allow others to dictate what I believe in. Sharing restrooms may not be evil, but it is very wrong. And tonight, we finally hear from Lisa, who writes in about the back and forth between Trump and Ted Cruz. She writes, we're tired of Mr. Kerfuffle Cruz and his ghostwriters always pouncing on the least minuscule point, twisting it with lawyer shrewdness to try to make Mr. Trump be shown in a bad light. We thank you for your comments. If you want to weigh in, here are some ways you can do it. Send your comments to me at newsmaxtv.com/comments or on Twitter at NewsmaxPrime. And this programming reminder, make Newsmax TV your one-stop source tomorrow night for all the results from the 5 East Coast primaries. Our coverage begins with Steve Malzberg tomorrow night at 7. I'll be on at 8, and we'll be on throughout the night. And you see the call-in numbers right there where you can call us tomorrow. That'll do it for tonight. As always, stay brave, stay free, stay tuned.